Blinded by the Light, oral assignment by Jacob Christensen. Considering this special occasion, I have decided to dress up in my finest attire to show my devotion to the subject and the subject matter in hand. Blinded by Light is a movie about two characters, and I will be taking points off the screen as I go along, describing the characters like Javed and his father, their relationship, how he changes during the film. I mean Javed, why Javed's dad says things, certain things. He has a special way of communicating his feelings and general thoughts to his son Javed, and what Javed means when he says certain things as well, and how the relationship changes going through the movie. Okay, starting off with characterizing Javed and his father. Javed is a young man from Pakistan. Of course, he's a man. About, I believe he's 16 years old, considering he's about to go to college. His appearance, he's quite dorky, big nose, Pakistani, so he's a man of color. Of course, his occupation is, well, he's going to college, so that's really it. He's later in the movie he gets a job selling clothes in the streets by his friend's dad. Internally, Javed is in the start of the movie quite anxious. He doesn't really have friends whatsoever apart from his one friend who lives across the street. He gets bullied by, I believe it's neo-Nazis they're called. He is not quite happy with himself, but he likes poetry and seeks refuge in that. He's quite confused over his own personality and such. So, but throughout the movie, he develops as a person, finding the king, of course. Yes, the dad is a quite traditional man. His name is Malik. Just like a guy I went to F school with. He's the traditional Pakistani, work hard, obey your parents, strict person. On the outside, he's quite chunky, to be honest. He's a better built man. Of course, he does physical labor in a factory, and he's probably mid to late 40s, early 50s, if I'd had to guess. He moved to Luton in the start of 1970, and of course got kids. So the movie takes place in about 1987, 1988. I believe actually I had this in my notes that the movie takes place from in 1985 to 1986 because of some newspapers and a banner of one of the last scenes where Javed has speech. Anyways, personal characteristics. The father isn't very patient. He however seems, for a Pakistani or an Asian person of cultured influence, person from Pakistan, he what's it called? He he describes himself as quite loose, considering he tells his son that he doesn't have to be a doctor. He could also be a lawyer or a nurse, not a nurse, accountant or anything, as long as he gets a lot of money and doesn't work in factory, because his dad, of course, doesn't like that about himself. However, he has to take care of his family, and so does his dad. Any other? Yeah, I can go with the dynamics, or not dynamics, well, the character develops on it. The dad certainly develops throughout the movie. I can just look for my notes. Or I could describe the relationship. Sorry, I will take this point by point to make it easier. Their relationship starts off kind of rough. The dad wants Javed to be a certain way. Javed doesn't want to be that way. He goes off to college, has poetry, I believe, instead of economics, a subject which his dad wanted him to have. There's a conflict in the middle of the movie. I think it's a point of no return or whatever, if we had to analyze the movie in that sense, where Javed moves out, takes a trip to America to, I believe, see the hometown of his idol, the king, and and then he comes back to his sister's wedding or something. Well, in the end of the movie, the relationship gets a lot better with Javed holding a speech about his trip to America. I can't quite recall what the speech is called, but however, this really opened up the dad's eyes to what Javed actually likes, and sees that it's a way for him to actually have success in life. Goody goody. How does Javed change the person at form? I have said so. Why does Javed's dad Malik say these things? Okay, so 1. Follow the Jews. He's a very stereotypical Pakistani man. He sees that Jews are doing well. Actually, the average Jew has an IQ of the 115 on a high school level, and the average person has an IQ of 100. This isn't a subject matter, that's just random knowledge that I had. Anyways, you will always be a Pakistani. You'll never be British. His dad is very upset in this belief that the world around them can't change, so they can't change either. The neo-Nazis in their neighborhood will always hate them. Javed won't be able to associate with whites, or whatever you'd call them, because of his background as Pakistani. Write your stories, but don't forget ours. I believe this is at the ending of the movie, where he says to his son, basically, well, you can be whatever you want, just don't forget us, your family. You'll always be welcome, and remember your roots, basically. Be your own person, but remember where you came from, and don't forget about your family, because we love you, or whatever. What does Javed mean when he says to his father, I don't want to be your son, I want to be more than that? He means that he wants to discover himself as a person and be more than just his father's son. So basically, he wants not to be known as the son of the guy who worked in a factory, but as an independent writer and as his own person, which is not very traditional in Pakistani culture. Yes. How is the relationship between guys changed? I have covered that. I have covered point 6. So, well, this is my presentation. I hope that it was quite alright. I'm certainly proud of it. It hasn't taken too much time, 8 minutes. I think that's fine. Have a nice day.